This is the new world's brightest flashlight. And we're gonna be seeing what happens when we magnify this flashlight to make a death ray. Whoa, oh no, it's on fire. This is the Imolent MS32. It puts out a whopping 200,000 lumens. The previous world record was this flashlight, also from Imolent, the MS18, that put out 100,000 lumens. So they've doubled the amount of LEDs in here. So let's take this outside and see how bright it is. Then we'll see if we can make it even brighter by magnifying it. 3, 2, 1. Holy cow. Wow. That is crazy. Look how far away it lights up those trees over there. All down there. It literally just lights up the whole mountain. It's like daytime out here. Okay, this is my car's headlights. Now I'm gonna turn on the flashlight above it so you can see a comparison. You literally can barely see the headlights. Holy cow. That is crazy. That's how bright it is. Okay, it's only 11:50 p.m. It's about to be morning for the town. Okay, everyone, time to wake up. It's crazy, wherever I shine it, it looks really dusty. I thought I had kicked up a lot of dust, so I went to a different spot, but it looks like that everywhere. So it's so bright that it just lights up any little thing that's in the air. Now let's see what happens if we try to magnify the flashlight by putting a lens on it. I have here a 3-diopter lens. In order to film this with how black the flashlight is, the lights are actually on in my room right now, but you can barely see anything. But when I turn on the flashlight, then you can see everything. So I've turned the ISO really low and really fast shutter speed. Before we continue, just like the laws of thermodynamics are universal, so is the fact that scammers will try to use your personal information to harm you. That's why I use Delete Me, and thanks to Delete Me for sponsoring this video. Data brokers scour the internet for information about you and compose a profile about you. They sell this profile to other companies that use it however they want. Delete Me removes your data from search results by targeting these data brokers and their customers. Let's look at my most recent report from Delete Me. Look at all of these websites that they've removed my information from. That's crazy. Remember, you have the right to stay private and protect your personal information. When you remove your information online, it helps you avoid being harassed by solicitors or phishing scams and helps avoid identity theft as well. Delete Me doesn't sell the information you give them to a third party to remove your information either. They do it all in-house from one source. So if you want to try Delete Me, get 20% off Delete Me US consumer plans when you go to joindeleteme.com/actionlab20 and use promo code actionlab20. Now let's get back to our experiment. Okay, here's some Action Lab tape. 3, 2, 1. Oh, it's smoking. Let's see what happens to a red Solo cup. Oh, whoa, I didn't even notice. Here's a piece of black foam. Holy cow, just ate right through it. Okay, let's see about a paper. Whoa, oh no, it's on fire. Holy cow. Let's see if it can burn paper even without the lens. Ow. So it's making it a little bit hotter than it normally would, mainly because it's capturing this little light on the side that can escape. So this definitely isn't optimized to get light down to a tiny laser-like point. But how small of a point could we get if we wanted to? How hot could we actually make something using this flashlight? Well, there's a rule that comes from the second law of thermodynamics called the conservation of Etendue. And it says that it's impossible to squish light down smaller than the source of that light unless you lose some of that light. For example, I have one LED here. You can see how small it is. So could I use a lens to focus this light even smaller than the size of this LED? According to conservation of Etendue, the answer is no. Let's see if that's the case. If I put the lens right on the LED so that I'm not losing any light, you can see that no matter how I move the lens, I can't make a spot of light that's smaller than the LED itself. So that's actually an image of the LED. So even if I get it as small as I can and then stick another lens here, it's still not going to ever be smaller than the LED that's just right on the surface of the flashlight here. If I want to make it smaller, then I have to move the lens far from the light so I lose some of the light. So let's move this far back now. When I do that, then I can make the light smaller. So now this point of light is smaller than the LED on the flashlight, but I've lost all of this light around it. So if I lose light, I can make a small point. So if I lose light, I can make the point smaller than the original source light, which means that ultimately that point could never be hotter than the point on the flashlight because I lost all this light. The consequence of this limitation is that you can never magnify any source of light to make something hotter than the source of light itself. But what does this mean for an LED? So if we apply this to our flashlight, then that means that we should be able to get something up to the same temperature as the LEDs inside of this flashlight. But what temperature are the LEDs? Well, that's actually a hard question to answer. The reason is because temperature can only be defined when something is in thermal equilibrium, meaning that if I thermally isolated it, it would come to a stable temperature. And since in an LED we're using quantum effects to make electrons fall into holes that are producing light, it isn't at thermal equilibrium. So there really is no defined temperature, but you can still define the energy of the light. Since the LED light puts out white light, very similar to the spectrum of the sun, then that means we could expect that the maximum theoretical temperature we could get to is about the temperature of the sun, around 6,000 Kelvin. But because of another pesky little thermodynamic rule called the conservation of Etendue, that says that you can't squish light without losing some of the light, you'll never actually be able to reach those temperatures. The more I try to concentrate the light, the more light I have to lose to do that. So in reality, the highest temperature you can get is not from magnifying it with a lens, but it's from putting it right on top of the flashlight. So why don't I just put the flashlight right up to a mirror and keep everything reflected right to my thermocouple? What temperature can we achieve? I'm gonna try this first with my 32,000 lumen flashlight in case anything goes wrong. Uh-oh. Oh no, I burned out the LEDs. Now let's hear all of the ways that you guys can think of to heat something up hotter than its source. But when coming up with these theories, I should remind you of this quote from Arthur Eddington, the British astrophysicist. He said, "If someone points out to you that your pet theory of the universe is in disagreement with Maxwell's equations, then so much the worse for Maxwell's equations. If it's found to be contradicted by observation, well, these experimentalists do bungle things sometimes. But if your theory is found to be against the second law of thermodynamics, I can give you no hope. There's nothing for it but to collapse in deepest humiliation." And thanks for watching another episode of the Action Lab, and we'll see you next time.